Welcome back to the Act Two podcast, a podcast for the real life working screenwriter. I'm Tasha Hugh.
And I am Josh Hallman.
And we are going to forego our usual intro because we have amazing guests. Josh, take it away.
So we have Matt Black and Ryan Polly on the podcast, directors, writers. So I'm going to give you the background, for me at least. My friend sent me your short film, Monitor. And my friend was like, dude, this short is awesome. You have to check this out. He was a trusted friend. So I watched it. I was like, this short is fucking awesome. And then I heard what I was like, this can't be a true story of you guys had uploaded the short, and then the short may or may not have been stolen by somebody. And we're just going to jump into everything.
And you're not LA based, is that right?
We're not LA based. I mean,
Fuck
first
yeah,
of
we
all,
have so much to talk about.
yeah. Thank you guys so much for having us. Luckily, everything's on Zoom now, so we can do this without having to be in LA.
We have a lot of listeners who are not in LA, so we'd love to really kind of get into that at some point.
Yeah, honestly, it's a big part of our story for sure. Just being here in Texas and not, I mean, we're Zooming with you right now, or we're talking over the internet. I mean, that's been our entire experience in the industry so far. So
Yeah, it is a crazy story. Like we've sort of just been in Texas, like making short films, and everything that ended up happening with Monitor, which I'm sure we'll get into, was sort of what kicked the door open to the industry for us. But I mean this was right after COVID was when all this stuff started happening. So it seems like everything was happening on Zoom anyway in the industry. And in fact, I think we kind of got a long way into development on Monitor, and oftentimes people didn't even know that we weren't in LA. So yeah, it was kind of seamless for us, honestly.
I love that. We like to start every guest with like, what is your background? How did you get into the film industry? Because it's such a crazy bonkers industry to even imagine you could get into. And also, how did you guys meet since you're a partnership?
yeah, I'd say that Matt and I both grew up really wanting to make movies and kind of slightly different paths into getting there. I think we both grew up making, short films and videos with our friends and doing that whole thing. And then, of course, you graduate high school. I ended up, just not going to college. I just started, making videos, helping out with stuff, starting to make commercials, and writing, the whole way through. Matt and I'll let you tell your backstory too. But we live in a town called Didden, Texas. A small college town outside of Dallas. And so I like to say that we met like there's a lot of house parties around Didden, and especially when you're like college age, everybody's like showing up and playing house shows and stuff. Matt was a musician, like an artist in town. I remember seeing him at a house show. And I guess the movie version of this would be me watching him, play his music and be like, "Damn, that's a good writer. I got to work with that guy."
Me and Ryan lock eyes, and he realizes I'm singing directly to him.
Yes.
And
Everything pauses.
yeah.
No.
No, I think, yeah, being in Denton, not being from LA, I'm not sure what the vibe is there. I can imagine because you're just near the industry, like, I have heard, I'll say from people that it can be really competitive. I think the nice thing about being in Denton is that when you meet other people that are like doing what you do, you're just excited, and especially if they're good at what they do, because there aren't many of us out here. So yeah, I think Ryan and I just sort of found each other that way. I came here for school. Grew up in Houston. Yeah, we just sort of found each other, and I think just really liked each other's stuff, and so we started kind of a writers group together, just sharing our stuff, just getting feedback. You guys know it's especially when you start out, it's really hard to get anybody to just read whatever terrible thing you're writing.
Yeah, we essentially had like a small writers group where, it started with our shorts and eventually, we're all writing features, but it's sort of like it exists purely as like, if you're in this group, you have to read what people submit and give feedback, and we'll do the same for you.
All groups fall apart because of that one person or two who's like, I couldn't get to it, guys. I couldn't get to it this week. You're like, what? We all got to your stuff last week.
Yes.
Do you guys find like, is there a community there for you with film? Is it maybe through the college, or have you found that you've had to create your own community there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of have created, but that's only because, I have for instance, I have a commercial production company in town. That's sort of my day job. As you know, lots of writers aren't fully living off of writing. So tons of people working in the industry here, and I think there's lots of people who want to be making movies and are constantly making shorts. And like we kind of have a community that we've built where it's like, yeah, if you make something, I'll come help with your thing. You could come help with my thing, and we sort of are all sort of growing together. So I think. There was definitely an era where we were all making shorts and kind of doing that, posting them online, getting into festivals. And now, with Matt and I sort of making our first feature, we have some friends that are making their first features at different scales as well. But yeah, it's been really great to kind of see everybody sort of chasing the dream and doing it together from our small time. I think our hope is that we can keep making movies and make studio movies and keep doing the thing and be able to live here and kind of bring film in Texas where it's slowly growing, very slowly. Weird because we shot our film in Spain for tax reasons, but
Oh, wow.
regardless.
And then did you guys, when you guys first kind of linked up, did you just have an overlap from your group, your writers group that you were in, and think to yourself, oh, we have similar sensibilities, maybe we can work together? Like how did this process happen? Because I think a lot of times people try writing partners and partners they direct with, but no one really can like hit it off with that other person. What was that like first intro aside from the music?
It was Monitor.
Yeah,
Monitor was the
it
first
was
thing. Yeah.
Monitor, man. Like honestly, I would say Ryan and I's sensibilities when we go off and write our own things are actually very different. Really, all of this came from the short. And the short, the whole like reason behind the short was like I got the idea. I was like, this could be a fun little short film. I went to Ryan. I was like, dude, what if we just made this together just for fun? And then we just put it online like for Halloween.
Yeah, honestly, a quick process. Matt had the script. He was inspired by an episode of Frasier to come up. If you could believe that.
Yeah.
No,
I love that shit.
Yeah.
maybe we should jump into Monitor.
let's
Tasha,
we should
okay.
do that because
All right, I'm gonna read the log line. If you tell me this is what
Oh
I
man, don't do that.
no
Don't
no
read the log line.
Read
I
it.
mean,
okay
I mean, go ahead, but
okay
I hate the log line.
okay. So this was the log line written by Matt. After a disturbing video surfaces online, something begins to spread, moving from screen to screen and targeting anyone who watches. No escape, no warning. Once you've seen it, it's already too late. Is that
Oh
it?
shit.
How do you
Okay,
feel?
I
okay,
actually
we got a
haven't heard
little
that log line.
Oh,
tagline in there too. That must have been someone
Yeah.
on IMDb. But yeah, and the short obviously that was the feature is adapted from the short. The short is very. I mean, I think you could still watch it if you saw it. Surely it exists online, but essentially, someone who works at a gas station sees something in the monitor that's not there in real life. And but yeah, Matt essentially wrote this short script, brought it to me, and was like, "Hey, dude, we should make this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I would love to. I've been wanting to make a horror short. Let's do this." So that was the first thing we did together.
do you mind me asking, did you guys just kind of pull together favors to say, hey, we know the person at the gas station, we're going to film over here. We know an actor, we're going to get him to do it. And how long did the process take?
Actually, before I think I went to Ryan just to make sure I had a location. I drove around town just asking like at every gas station in town and found this couple that owned a gas station that was really generous and would let us shoot there. So once I had the location, I went to Ryan and asked. I was like, do you want to do this together? And
Yeah, Gunnar Willis, who stars in the short, who we also brought to the feature as well, which we love. Gunnar was an actor that I had seen online. I'm like, this guy has such an interesting look. I really think he could cook in the short, and so that was sort of like, the everything else was like people that we had made shorts and commercials with here in town. We had our producer Grant produce it. Daniel Ruth, who's our DP, who kind of shoots everything for us, shot it, and then the whole crew kind of came together with just like, yeah, let's spend 2 nights in a gas station, shoot this thing. But yeah, from Matt bringing it to us to like the finished short was like 2 months, and then we just threw it online and forgot about it.
When you put it online and when you were making the short, did you have any expectations that you were going to make a feature?
no, not at all. I mean, for us, it was very much just like a one-off thing. I mean, shorts for us have always been like practice. It's like we're gonna make this just to let's put two characters in a room and have them talk. Like, can we make that compelling? Let's do for Monitor, it's like, let's do no dialogue. Let's just do, can we make that compelling? So for us, it was like always very much practice. I don't think, especially at that time, we were ever like using shorts as a springboard for anything really.
Yeah, some of our shorts have ended up being proof of concept, but the original intent was just we want to make something cool that has a beginning, middle, and end in a 10-minute time span. So
So this is the next part I really want to get into. This part I've heard, and I actually ended up finding a little blurb on Deadline that I want to read if I can.
yeah,
Tasha
do
doesn't
it.
even know I'm doing this. Okay. 8 years ago, the duo came together on a lark to make a short film, posting it online and forgetting about it almost immediately. 4 years later, they got a call from a screenwriter who was pitching on a feature version, which had been set up at a major studio with a major producer attached. The only problem is they knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this.
Yeah, let me set it up. Let me set it up.
Okay, yeah, please.
I'm in my guest bedroom playing Tetris at 10 p.m. on a
Totally
Sunday night.
naked. No, I'm just kidding.
Listening to Matt's
Like,
music.
like any
As
other
one
night.
does when they play Tetris. Yeah.
Like ass naked playing Tetris in it. No. But
We're like, please don't set it up, Ryan.
it's like 10 p.m. And I get a call from a California number. Anytime it's a California number, I'm like, it's probably Steven Spielberg. I should answer this
Naturally.
But I answer it, and it's this guy Nick Curcio, a screenwriter that has since become a friend of ours.
What?
We know Nick Curcio. Yeah.
He's amazing. It was Nick.
Our boy.
He's the guy.
He's the only name I will share here because the other we're going to keep the other names out. Yeah, he essentially calls and says, "Hey, tomorrow I was going to pitch on a this horror feature adapted from the short called Radio." And I'm like, "Why are you calling me?" And he goes, "Well, it's your it's your short. Someone downloaded it, took off the title in the credits, added their own." And they essentially got it set up at this very big studio with this big producer, and they were taking it out to writers for like writer takes, like pitch us your adaptation.
So Nick had like sussed this out, or you put those pieces together?
He was researching like images for his pitch deck or something, and he just stumbled upon Monitor and saw like an article because we had when we released a short, we tried to get some articles written about it like for press or whatever, and so there was like behind the scenes photos, interviews with us, photos of us with the cast.
Nick doing the detective work. I like it.
So he's like, this whole thing's gonna blow up. I got to tell my agent. Surely this will implode. He found my number on IMDb and would just like I just wanted to let you know, like you're probably gonna hear something about this. Sorry this happened. Meanwhile, me and Matt are just excited because a major producer saw our short.
Yeah,
Dude,
sure.
I was convinced it was a scam. When Ryan first called me, I'm like, dude, somebody's scamming you. Like,
yeah.
they saw your short and like Hollywood is waiting to make your movie. Like, there's no way. That's a scam.
Okay, yeah. Then what happens?
So like basically that fell apart. I mean, honestly, the guy that
You say, so here I am naked playing Tetris in my house.
Yeah. So Ryan calls me. I'm buck naked. Yeah. So his manager ends up calling Ryan. He had hip pocketed him. Apparently, the guy's whole portfolio was fake, I guess.
Him being who?
The director who stole our stuff.
The director of and he had renamed it Radio.
He had renamed it Radio because
Okay.
there's a radio in it. He had apparently faked his whole portfolio, the stuff that got him this manager. His manager is actually now our manager. He's a great guy. But he called Ryan and he was like, "Hey, dude, yeah, this guy lied to me about everything. There's a little bit of momentum behind this. If you guys have a feature take for it, like this could be sort of something." And Ryan, just lied and was like, "Yeah, we have a feature take."
Of course.
You have to.
do.
As you do.
It's the only way.
And yeah, so the next morning we just got together and basically we're like, okay, how is this a feature?
We sort of broke a few versions of the movie that are way different than they are now. They were like, what are ways we can use this sort of seeing something on a monitor? Maybe it's all in one location, like a very bottle thing, but
what was your can I ask, this is not what this is about, but I'm curious like what your starting point was creatively. Were you like, man, like what is that burning story we'd been wanting to tell for years, or did you really focus on to sort of what was within the show? Like how did you kind of break the feature?
I mean, at this point it felt like we had this tiny window that had opened up, and if we didn't capitalize on it immediately, it was going to slam shut. And I think we were so not nervous, but just like we felt like we had to deliver something and quickly. But there's also all this weird pressure of like Ryan and I always say, I don't think a horror movie would have been our first feature. Like we love horror films, but I wouldn't say we were burning to make a horror film. Obviously, it's a great first feature for first time filmmakers because people tend to trust you. You know, it's concept forward. You don't need necessarily big name actors. So all those reasons we're like, yeah, let's make a horror movie. But I think we were a little bit nervous that the opportunity was going to pass us by. So honestly, our first ideas were like the most, all of the sort of cliche.
Yeah, it was essentially trying to take the themes that we talked about in the short, expand that into a feature, and do the whole screen life thing. But none of those really worked.
Yeah, so basically the producer that was on the project wanted to meet us just because it was crazy. And he basically just had a meeting with us saying like, "Man, isn't this crazy, guys?" And he was super nice. And we were like, yeah, we'd love to take a stab at it if you guys are still interested.
We pitched him the ideas that we came up with that week. He was like, "Yeah, this is all cool, but you just need to write a spec."
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we went and wrote a spec. That was strange too, because I mean, I don't know. It's taste is subjective, but for Ryan and I, like these kinds of like screen life horror movies tend to be not very good. I think that's for good reason. Like it is kind of tough conceptually to make that scary and compelling. And I think we were trying to figure out how to still make it like a statement movie where it's like we're coming out as, whatever
Be our tours.
Hmm.
auteurs. And what we ended up with was this really messy script that was like kind of hard to understand and was not nearly commercial enough for, for the way the project had been set up. And rightfully so, the producer was basically like, "Yeah, thanks for writing this, guys. I think we're gonna pass." So at that point, it was kind of like, okay, they're like the windows has slammed shut.
Fortunately, our manager, or who was becoming our manager, was like, "Well, this isn't the only producer that has to read this thing. Like, you guys make the script you want to make, and let's start pitching around, seeing what happens."
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That first producer loved the short and basically read the feature and was like, no.
I think it was probably a mix of things because they were the ones that were attached with the studio, and all the sort of mess happened, and then we go off and write the script, and it's like, yeah, I think we're just gonna move on from this.
Separate, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is a story. I'm sure you guys have already experienced this, but you will never not tell this story in every single general you are ever in.
I'm sure. Well, our monitor comes out April 30th of 2027, almost a year from now, and we'll have lots of time to rehearse it before we go around and do press for that movie.
And then, so how did from your initial idea, was that what the feature became?
What really broke open this version of the feature was, we had this existing script. We were trying to figure out, how to make this better, how to make this more compelling, and Matt found a series of like mini documentaries about the world of like content moderation that were really compelling and felt like they, that world of moderating felt like it fit really well with the themes of what we were trying to talk about in the short. And the setting is just so specific and unique that it became like really exciting to sort of wrap our movie about, seeing something on the screen that's not there in real life, sort of attaching this sort of curse, movie trope a little bit to it. And suddenly it started to feel a lot more unique and interesting, and you have this really colorful cast of characters that you can only find at like a dead end job, like like a call center or something like that, where it's like, yeah, really diverse cast of characters that it makes sense to have, and it be very much an ensemble movie, and it started to really come to life after that.
I think too, just taking the pressure off. Like after the producer sort of passed on the first script, my wife was like, I was disappointed, and she's like, "Matt, it can just be like a dumb horror movie. Like it doesn't have to be like this incredible." And it was weirdly liberating. And I think our movie's better than like a dumb horror movie. But I will say, like, just giving yourself permission to just write something that it doesn't have to be who you are. It can just be like a movie that you wrote.
And I think one of those strengths is there's a lot of familiarity in our movie, but it's also doing things that are, we think, especially with the set pieces and the monster, that are very new and unique for horror movies, while still being, sort of the tried and true, like, there's a comfort to the familiarity in our movie, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it did was it enabled us to just go, okay, like, yeah, what do we love? What do we just love about horror movies? Like, what are our favorite movies, and like, what do we want to see in a horror movie? I think it made the movie more fun. Whereas before, we were kind of trying to do something that was more of like, we're artists, and here's our artistic movie.
Sure. I'm sure there's a lot of pressure when it's your first thing and you know it's going to be sort of your big entry to make it that way. Yeah.
Have you guys heard of like people talk about where it's like, yeah, it's your first feature, like this is your calling card, this is what everybody's gonna like. There's a little bit of that, and I think Matt and I have gone the other way of being like, no, it's like if we can make a good first movie, someone will trust us to make another movie, and we can continue to sort of grow and evolve, and hopefully get better and better, and have those opportunities. Like this is a very personal movie, I can make this as like my very personal movie, and then go and do like a studio movie that is just like delivering on a really good script that maybe is a little bit more, down the line or whatever.
I honestly think that's right. I think you're probably going to face people who are like, "This is your calling card." I certainly, when I was coming up, the script that was sort of getting me all the meetings, when I met a manager, they were like, "Well, this is who you are, so I can sell you as this, and I can't sell you as something else." And I'm like, "Well, then we're not going to work together because that isn't me. That's not, or it's not just me, right?" So like, you can totally make that decision, and I love hearing that you are doing that because I think it can feel scary when you're like, I have the opportunity. Finally, the thing I've been dreaming of is here. If only I just do horror movies, right? I can get jobs if I just do horror movies. And I think we can get trapped in that. So I'm very inspired by hearing you guys saying we're going to do our own thing. Fuck them.
Check with us in a few years if we're still doing just horror
You
movies.
guys got it. I
Yeah,
believe in you.
yeah. We maybe we have built the box we're gonna die in.
I don't think so. I don't think
We
so.
really liked making this horror movie, and we will make. I mean, there's a good chance our next movie, if it's what we're about to start working on now, is going to be another horror movie. But we're genre guys. We would love to do a thriller, do an action movie, do a western. It's we're hoping we can kind of bounce around, but we're gonna take what we can get at this point.
Something that Josh and I talk a lot about is how lucky we actually are, and as much as that feels ironic because our job is so difficult, but being creators, we can just do whatever we want next. You guys could go do a rom-com next if you wanted, and as long as it's good, people are like, okay. Like Jordan Peele is a perfect example of how we can pivot.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, and I mean horror is a great genre, and yeah, of course. I mean, we're lucky to make any movie, and we would love to keep making horror films. The liberating thing is like if you can write a great script will always be a great script. Like if nothing we're doing now inhibits us from writing an incredible, you know, action movie later. It's like if you can do it, then do it. And so I think that was even liberating. It's like it's not like I have to be this thing. It's like I'm just trying to write whatever I think is good, and whatever I'm doing now doesn't change what I can do in the future. You know.
So you make the feature. It premiered at South by Southwest. Was that your first?
For like a big major film festival, yeah, that was the first one, and it was a total dream to be there with our first feature. And I mean, it was a lot of it was thanks to our producers at Temple Hill, and then also our producers Nostromo, which is the Spanish company that we ended up partnering with to make the movie in Spain. But they were, I think, a big reason why we got in, and it's sort of you could trust Temple Hill and their because of like the movies like Smile and other big horror successes, that this next horror movie that they're making could be great. And obviously, yeah, that was huge. But it was amazing being at South by, and yeah, just getting to watch the film with an audience was incredible after waiting for a year.
So when the film premiered at South by, like, what was the distribution process like?
Honestly, it was kind of best case scenario. I mean, I think going into South by, our producers were like kind of trying to caution us, I think. Like I would say we felt pretty good about the movie. It's a very commercial movie to us. Like I don't think we had doubts that somebody would want it. But they were telling us like the market is really weird right now. Like, we hope it sells fast, but honestly, you just never know. And we were a little bit removed from the process. We brought in UTA to help sell the movie. They did some LA screenings at the same time that we were, premiering at South by.
Yeah, apparently a frustration for our sales and PR people were the fact that the Oscars always takes place on the same opening weekend as South by, and so apparently a lot of the studios that would be buying stuff at South by are like sending their junior people to South by so they can do Oscar stuff. So yeah, thankfully we did like this LA screening on Friday the 13th, which is fun.
Hell yeah. Can I ask, how did you get connected with UTA? Were they repping one of your producers, or how did you get connected with them?
Yeah, it was honestly a lot of this is our producers at Temple Hill who did that. But Matt and I don't have agents, so I think part of the I think is what helps a little bit is that there were apparently a lot of different agents at the agencies that were wanting to get with Matt and I, and so we were able to use that to our advantage and get them to partner to sell the movie.
That's great.
I guess a few days after our first screening, we started getting word that a few different buyers were interested. For Matt and I, it was like he said, we're a little removed. It was just like waiting every day. Is there an update? That are people interested? But essentially, for the festival, it was more about like just being there, celebrating the film, being there with some of the cast and crew, and like trying not to think about the fact that people might be interested, or think about the fact that some of these offers might be bad or good or whatever. But it wasn't until like a week or two after the festival that we kind of got an update on like Searchlight is interested.
Which was really, it was really full circle, because Searchlight for a second, before we had made the movie, was interested, and we were really excited about Searchlight as a studio and as a distributor, and that ended up falling through, for several reasons. And so then when we made the movie and then came back and now we're getting distribution with them, it was like really fun to it was sort of a full circle moment.
Yeah, that's
But
cool.
yeah, no, we don't. Honestly, we don't have a ton. I mean, we weren't very involved, to be honest with you, in terms of the distribution, and it is still mysterious to us. We just kind of tried to make the best movie we could and let our sales agents do their thing.
Have you guys considered doing another short and releasing it?
Maybe. I mean, I kind of hope to never have to do a short again, just because there's such a drain. Like, there's still so much work, and weirdly, the pipeline I think still works. Where like make a short film and try to leverage that into a feature. I
We
mean,
have other short films that we have that like features that we're going to take out that have short films attached, that we've yet to sort of land anywhere. So we have that, but yeah, it's such a grind to make a short.
maybe Ryan and I will try to be YouTubers. That seems to be the surefire path.
Yes.
If the filmmaking thing doesn't work out, we'll just start YouTubing.
Can I ask about like it's funny that you guys say kind of don't want to do another short because it's like the same amount of work but for sort of less output. I think a lot of people, specifically who don't live in LA maybe, or those who are kind of stagnant and waiting for someone else to say yes, do feel like a short can empower them. Do you guys agree with that? Do you feel like go ahead and make it if you can, or like that's just such a money suck, try something else? Like what would your advice be for someone like that?
Dude, 1000% you should make a short. I mean, I mean, for two reasons. Like one, like we said, it's like we did shorts for practice, and I think there's a lot of stuff. There's just a lot of stuff that you learn when you're doing shorts. And we write, shoot, and edit everything ourselves. So like, it it's an education. But then on top of that, like, yeah, I mean, the only reason we got it off the ground was because of the short. Weirdly, though, I don't think you should make a short as a proof of concept.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I feel like that never or rarely works. Maybe like for Ryan and I, our shorts are always just like, what's a great story that we can tell in under 10 minutes? And like our focus was always wanting to deliver a final product as a short film.
A full, satisfying story with the beginning, middle, and end that you can watch. Be like, I saw the whole thing. That was awesome. As opposed to like a scene, and you're like, that was cool. I wonder, what's next. Just because it's like you're the actual storytelling ability of writing and directing is delivering a story. So it's like, just give us the whole thing, and it's like I can see what you can make. I think that's why I'm like, if we made Monitor as a proof of concept, I don't think it would do as like get us the feature. I think it works because it is like it starts and it ends, and that's the story.
I think so too. In my experience, when I worked at a studio, we actually bought a lot of stuff that was just proof of concept stuff because execs would get very excited about directors and their vision, and it would always stall. I never saw a single one of those get made because the director slash writer can never figure out the story. So if they haven't created a proof of concept that is a beginning, middle, and end, then they're not going to in the film version either.
Yeah, well, it's also like Ryan said, just the satisfaction of yeah of telling a complete story, and one to prove to yourself that you can do it, and then to prove to other people. And I think also I just think they end up being better shorts.
We are a screenwriting podcast after all. So I think I glossed over something, but what is your writing process now?
You're finding out through this podcast that we're still figuring everything out. Because we've like done a few scripts. I would say Monitor was a lot heavily more on Matt than myself. We've done some others where it's like, hey, let's trade pages, and there's a feature we did called Pizza Time based on another short that was like, hey, I'm going to write 20 pages. When I get to a stop point, I'm going to send it. You're going to, continue, and we kind of make it to the end. I think going forward with future projects, we're trying to figure out like, what is the process of us like spending like, hey, full time we're writing this script together. What does it look like? Where can we use our strengths and weaknesses? Because I would say Matt is definitely like has a much better strength in dialogue than myself. Where I like one of my strengths is like writing action and set pieces. So like trying to figure out what that process looks like going forward is definitely something we want to do.
Yeah, it's so fascinating because everyone has different ways of breaking story, and any writing or creative team or anybody who's writing with someone else, I swear no story is the same. Like everyone is like, yeah, well, we'll either write, do we sit next to each other and write, or we'll send 25 pages, or like we just send things digitally. And it's just fascinating.
I'm always fascinated by people that say they can just be in a room together and write, because I'm like, how long does this script take if you're just like both like, I would imagine it takes forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was in a room with someone, I would just be chatting about literally anything else. I'd be like, so
Yeah.
you want to watch YouTube videos?
Group procrastination.
Yeah, no, it sounds insane to sit in the same room and try to write something, like type it out together.
I think the only time that we've done that is like for one of those like we used to do a lot of those like 48-hour shorts. I think there was one where like, Matt, you're the writer, and we were like sitting and we're just like all talking through, and you're just like, you're the one on the keyboard, and we're just talking through the story and talking out dialogue, and you're just writing. And I think you wrote in like an hour, like a 10-page short, which that was fun, but that's like a more of an exercise than a practical like, here's an outline for a feature we have. Let's write. Let's sit down and write it together.
Yeah. I'm excited to sit down with you guys in a year to see like what has solidified, what your process has become, and what bad ideas you threw out and what you actually ended up doing.
Yeah, I think we're gonna figure it out. I mean, I will say, like, it feels like probably like for this next one we want to do, which will be like writing, 50-50. It's like I think we already have a really clear idea of an outline, which helps a lot. And like Ryan said, just sort of like passing it back and forth. I think we're luckily, like, Monitor the Feature was actually going into it. We were a little bit like, okay, how's this going to go? Like, how are we going to work together? Because we hadn't really done much together. But I think we really like our kind of best idea wins people. And so I think like the same thing will happen with writing, where it's like, you know, we kind of both know when one of us stumbles into something that is the way to go.
That's awesome. That's half the battle.
Yeah, we went into directing the Monitor feature having only directed the Monitor short together. And so it was very much like, we had some ground rules of like, let's stick to this and it should be great. But like actually making it, it's like we realized how like, even though we have our own sort of sensibilities, we definitely share a lot of taste and have a really great way of communicating and working together on set. So I can only imagine, it's going to be the same thing when we're, sitting down, hopefully writing
That's so
a
cool.
few screenplays this year.
Hell yeah.
Before the next movie comes out.
That's kind of a good segue to my last question, which is, as I mentioned at the top, we do have a lot of listeners who are writing from other places besides LA. Many screenwriters who maybe started their career here and then moved because it's just way too fucking expensive here. I think a lot of the things that listeners who are not in LA struggle with is community, people who can, light a fire under their ass and make sure that they are writing, hold them accountable, who can read, because there's so few people in your community usually who know how to read a screenplay and really help develop their voices. So can you just kind of talk about like A, how you find community, and then B, how you're finding living in Texas and still having a career here in Los Angeles?
Man, finding community is tough, honestly. Like, I don't know, Ryan, you may have, I don't know that I have advice other than just the typical, like, if you see people and you like what they do, which with screenwriting, it's interesting because it's not like you're coming across, random people's screenplays online all the time, unless you're like on Reddit or something. But I mean, the only thing I would say is just find people whose stuff you like and ask to read their stuff and see if they'll read yours. I mean, that's pretty much what we did.
And I think that, I mean, the good thing about nowadays is there's at least like Instagram and like, social media where it's like, hopefully you can see, like, even if you're not in person meeting with these people, if you stumble upon like a short film or a video or whatever online, could become friends, internet friends with those people, and start trading work, and at least getting like finding people who have similar tastes than you. And I think that's a big thing. Even if they're not screenwriters, it's like I feel like one of the best people I send my work to is my wife, because she's very critical of it, and she's not a writer, but she has good taste and likes good art, and knows what a good story is, and can tell me if something's not working. And so it's like, even if they're not like screenwriters, just finding those people that don't mind, reading what you write, and giving you critical feedback that's not just going to be like, hey, this is good, or it was okay, like actual critical stuff that's gonna hurt at first.
I'll say this too. This was super helpful for me. It's not necessarily community, but it's just in terms of getting people to read and write your stuff. Like I had written a few samples, and then just like on Instagram, I was reaching out to filmmakers that were kind of like, I really liked the films they made. It's like you can kind of tell when a filmmaker is trying to move into features. It's like the quality of the stuff they're making, they're sort of right on the cusp. I had some script samples, and I was just sending it out to directors and just being like, do you need someone to write your movie? And for a few years I was just writing film, like other people's ideas or other people's films. And that's great because it's not your idea, it's their idea, which means they're invested. They'll read it as soon as you send it, and they'll tell you what they think. I lucked out where a lot of those guys I was writing for, I think, were actually great, story editors, and also it trains you how, like, kind of how to develop a film. Like you get a ton of feedback, even if it is your own project, like with Monitor, where it's like, oh, I care about this, and also people are telling me to change things that I love about it, and that's its own, really, that's a huge part of writing that is emotionally, draining. And I think if you can do it in a low stakes situation where you're writing for somebody else, not a studio, but just a guy that wants to have a good script under his belt, it really teaches you how to kind of bob and weave when you're getting notes, and how to, find the note behind the note and all that sort of cliche stuff. But for me, like, I did it for a few years, and it was a great training ground where people are reading your stuff, they're invested, and you're learning a lot of really important screenwriting skills.
And it's fun to watch someone else make the movie after you write it, and you don't have to do the hard work of making
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
And then you don't have to push the ball uphill. You can just hand them the script, and they need to
It's
try to
one
make
of the
it.
best things.
That's a
Yeah.
really good
But
idea.
I would say like any screenwriter, like reaching out to not just other writers, but to directors and people, and just saying, hey man, I'll write your script for you, is huge.
Having our little writers group and meeting in person is great as well, but it's not the only way. And but I think for us, it was also, with our little writers group, it's like everyone's at a different place in their career and their, life as an artist. Maybe someone is just like, hey, this is my first, short screenplay that I ever wrote. Can you guys read it? And then, other, like, we're writing features and stuff, but it's like we're all in the same sort of playing field when it comes to like reading and talking about the work. But yeah, I think there's so many different ways you can go about it, but it definitely has been helpful and is great to have.
And have you found any slowdown at all, given you are in Texas and not in Los Angeles, or absolutely none? You guys mentioned you just do everything over Zoom anyway. So generals, pitches, any other kind of work meetings, all over Zoom, no problem.
I can only hope to believe that we would be wildly successful if we were in LA. I like to think that being in Texas has drastically slowed down our careers,
Uh-huh.
and we would be way ahead of where we are now.
I was gonna say, like, Matt and I aren't like huge extroverts, and I feel like in LA, it's like the only difference would be like we have opportunities to go and like network and like meet, schmooze people, but I'm like, we probably wouldn't do that anyways because that's just
Yeah,
not the
I don't
people we
want to
are.
do that either. I know I have a meeting in person next week, and I'm like, in person? What?
Yeah, what the
Why?
heck?
Why is that happening?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I have always loved California. I love LA. It's like you said, it's expensive to get out there. We haven't had the kind of success that I think we would need to justify moving out there yet.
Yeah.
But like, but I we love it as a city, and every time we go, we get to meet people in person that we've met over Zooms. And I'll say, like, our experience with the industry so far has been great. Like, I think especially living in Texas, you have this idea of like what the movie industry is, and then you meet people and you're like, oh, they're just normal people that are like trying to make movies.
we'll do like 2 or 3 trips a year. It feels like to LA. We're going next month for like a preview screening for Monitor, which and we'll go and try to just plan a bunch of meetings with people while we're there, and then come back and.
Yep, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Well, hit us up, you guys, if you're here. We'd love to buy you a drink.
Oh, that'd be great.
All right.
That's it, guys. I know I came in pretty hot, but it was just pure excitement. I just want you to know. Tasha, do you have any other questions?
I don't. We can wrap up. I'm going to end with the quote of the day, which is, I try to create sympathy for my characters and then turn the monsters loose. Stephen King. Please remember to rate and subscribe. Follow us at ActTwoWriters for more awesome writing stuff. You follow me, Tasha, at Story Thursday on Instagram.
And I am Josh Hallman on Instagram. And are you guys on social media?
Yes, I am Ryan _Polly on Instagram. What are you, Matt?
I'm Bat Black, I think. Do they search your username? I don't even know how it works.
Something like that.
Well-
And then let's do the usual thing. Plug your stuff, guys. When does your movie come out?
Yeah.
You can watch Monitor on April 30th, 2027. That is a long way away, but you can watch it in theaters everywhere, which is crazy to say.
That's so exciting. And go check out the short as well. As always, the Act Two podcast is a production of Act Two, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This episode was edited by Paul Lundquist.